Active training, as defined by Silberman, is a method of enhancing human performance where participants do most of the work and where they acquire knowledge and skill rather than merely receiving them. Recently, I had the privilege of shadowing and interviewing John, who has been a technology trainer for over 15 years with a variety of companies such as Capital One, Intuit, and various Virginia community colleges. He holds a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's in educational technology. Currently, his primary responsibility is to provide training on all technology products and applications his college is currently using, while researching and recommending new applications for acquisition and implementation within the college. While shadowing John, he was in the beginning stages of designing and conducting training for Microsoft Access. While working with John, my first question focused on the need for creating the class in the first place. I inquired as to why the training is being provided, what need is being met by the training, and how the training is impacting the college or individuals within the college. I was pleasantly surprised when John advised me that he is part of a team that is going to each department and conducting an examination of their business processes and asking what they feel are the biggest challenges and opportunities within their department. Here the idea is to determine what can be done to make each department's work more streamlined and more efficient, and what training the department staff would require in order to help with those processes. While visiting the HR office, John was advised that each employee must input employee data such as name, address, date of birth, hire date, category, employee ID, etc. And this information was kept on multiple spreadsheets, and the various spreadsheets were used to produce a large number of reports. This created a data input nightmare, as the same data was formatted in various ways throughout 18 spreadsheets. In addition, many hours per week were wasted by inputting redundant data into the 18 individual spreadsheets. From the aforementioned visit, it was determined that it would be more efficient to create an Access database where the data would be inputted into a single form or table and multiple queries and reports could be run in order to satisfy the end user. In order to accomplish this goal, all members of the HR department had to first receive training on Microsoft Access, seeing how none of the employees in that department have ever been exposed to that application. After John was able to ascertain that there was a need for the Access training, he moved on to the process of creating objectives. Once again, I was pleasantly surprised that John had already written the goal and objectives for the training. In fact, John was putting the finishing touches on creating an Access manual for the entire training, which consisted of 4 3-hour sessions. While reading the manuals, I noticed that not only did he include steps to perform each task, but at the end of each chapter he created an activity that he planned on asking the class to complete. This took Silberman's approach of active learning to the heart, where active tier training occurs when the participants do most of the work. When I asked John why he did this, he simply responded that no one would learn a thing if they could not apply it to a real-world setting. In fact, John was not creating a one-size-fits-all solution, but instead he was modifying the exercises depending upon the needs of the department and individuals he was training to ensure the examples would pertain to something they could actually use, with an end goal for the trainees to walk away with a completed database that they could utilize in their jobs at the end of the training. The next time I was able to observe John was a week later in the actual training environment. The first thing he did was to attempt to put everybody's mind at ease by conducting an icebreaker known as a train wreck. Once the train wreck was concluded, you could see that the tension in the class was limited and people's focus became more at ease with the training. The training then focused on one major Access module at a time. The first was getting familiar with Access, followed by tables, queries, forms, and then reports. Throughout the training, John had each individual first watch and then do. At the conclusion of each module, he set aside 1 hour for each participant to begin incorporating the Access components they just learned into a predefined database based on the conversation John and his team had with the HR department. This, I believe, was instrumental in the participants learning the content, as they were provided an opportunity to utilize what they have learned while applying it to an actual experience they were able to directly relate to. At the same time, the participants were motivated, as they were able to create an actual database they would be able to use once the training was concluded. Throughout this process, I have been reintroduced to active learning techniques and the reasons they exist in the first place. which is simply to increase the chance that the learners will walk away from the experience with knowledge, skills, and abilities they had hoped for. In addition, multiple techniques throughout the needs assessment and training delivery ensures the best possible training can be created and conducted. Invoking critical thinking techniques when first beginning the training process and the communication process can make your time more efficient. You should always lead with an open mind and focus on meeting not only your individual department's needs, but your individual learner's needs as well.